Hello fellow educators, my name is Michael Doumtsis and I'll be here today to talk to you about how assessment and reporting impacts on students in the primary school setting, how it affects them with regard to the teaching and learning strategies. Teachers' impact on student learning, the way they do it is they need to look at the curriculum, so what has to be taught, the pedagogy, which is how they need to be taught, assessment, so how well the students are progressing, and then the reporting, so where that is where, and it shows the progress as to what the students have learnt and then provides that to the future teachers as well as the parents. Assessment is an ongoing process of gathering, analysing and interpreting data on students. Assessment should take place to help analyse the progression of the student and to ensure that they have an understanding of the key concepts that are learnt. Assessment in the primary school context should be timed in a way which summarises the key concept learnt at any given point. Mathematics in the primary school setting are taught strand by strand. The Australian curriculum outlines the strand which must be met year by year, provides us with goals as teachers as to what students must achieve in each year. So assessment should be focused on each integral part of the curriculum after it has been taught, so as to examine the students' skills and to ensure that they gain the required skills needed of that strand in mathematics. In the Victorian primary schools, children in the Foundation to Year 2 are assessed against the Victorian Early Years Learning and Development Framework, and they are not graded. So the assessment that is being targeted and the reporting is all formative. Reporting in schools is mandatory and will outline the student's achievement in each learning area. From grade 3, the students are assessed every 2 years against the curriculum standards in the NAPLAN, which is the National Australian Program Literacy and Numeracy, and it gauges the students' progression within the national standards. Assessment can also be both formative and summative. Formative acts to monitor students' learning and provides ongoing feedback to improve teaching and learning, helps identify the students' strengths and weaknesses, and to help notice if a student is struggling. There's no point value and it's mainly worded and explanatory in nature. Summative assessment acts to evaluate students at the end of each instructed unit or concept, and they are things like midterm exams, final projects, tests, and other things like that. These summative assessments can be reported formally if needed. Reporting is a process of communicating comprehensive information about student achievement and the learning that has taken place in half-yearly reports, term reports, and end-of-year reports. They must be individualized for each student, and they are done from year 3 or under the curriculum standards. Reports also act as a guide for future teaching and learning. They are standard year level orientated and are based on age. The guidelines set forth by the Victorian Curriculum Assessment Authority must be maintained in order to gauge the student's progression year by year. Australian standards must be met and set forth by the VCAA. Primary schools need to provide disaggregated reports in mathematics based on strands, so for example number and algebra. With regard to number and algebra, reports act as a building tool to help assist each teacher with the progression level of each student and to see if they have achieved the required knowledge to move forward in the topics set forth by the Australian curriculum's year level achievement standards. Reporting in schools is mandatory and will outline students' achievement in each learning area and their capability in the content of each strand of learning every 2 years. Number and algebra strand, for example. The strand is broken up into 4 main components: number and place value, patterns in algebra, fractions and decimals, and money and financial mathematics. Throughout each year level, the Australian curriculum outlines the required set of skills and knowledge expected to be taught and learnt by each child. It is a building process where they build upon prior year's teaching in each learning area. Foundation patterns and algebra, for example, the foundation patterns in algebra require students to sort and classify familiar objects. In year 1, the child must use prior experience to go further and describe number patterns formed by skip counting. Teachers use assessment after each concept is learned to gauge a student's understanding. They then report and relay this information to fellow teachers on a yearly basis to check and track students' progression. The number and algebra are key ideas when building an understanding of mathematics. Teachers use summative assessment methods to understand and track students' progression and then relay this information in a formative method to parents and other teachers if necessary. In conclusion, in primary school setting, assessment and reporting acts as a guide to a student's progression. How a student performs in these assessments can directly impact on the way they respond to future teaching, thus causing either benefit or detriment to their learning. Some children perform better than others when assessed. This will give them a sense of achievement and reinforcement, allowing the child to continue and to build upon their knowledge under the pretense that they are good at mathematics. Other students will perform poorly, and this may lead to disengagement with tasks and the child will feel inadequate. For this reason, it is important to track students' progression and assist them in gaining the skills they need to overcome their weaknesses in particular areas of mathematics. By breaking it up into strands, we as teachers can track individual areas of mathematics separately and see how students compare, as some may excel in one strand and maybe failing in another. In this way, we can focus our teaching to suit each child. Thank you for listening today.